This week on a very special pop culture minefield.
I told you I'm okay.
Here, if you swear on your mother's life.
My mother is not alive.
It was a baby! She smothered her own baby!
What the hell was that?
Isn't this what happened last episode?
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gary Kissel.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield. That's Keith.
And that's Gary.
And we're here to talk nerd stuff. CW, with the ratings drop on Batwoman and Supergirl, and some of the things you were saying in our last conversation about the CW, because it's true. You had said that Supergirl, despite the ratings drops it had from CBS to CW, has the highest ratings of anything on CW. But what I pointed out...
ratings on CBS were bigger than anything she's ever gotten since she's been on the CW, which dwarfs a majority of everything that they have on the CW network.
Which, had me come back and say... But despite that, both of their ratings are dropping drastically. The more woke they get, and it's funny, people who see this wokeness and they get like, you're just upset, and it's like, no, actually, I don't care if they have gay characters. I really don't. I don't. Those things are cool. I really don't mind the diversity when it comes off natural. My problem is when it becomes kind of overly didactic, preachy, or just too much. And I understand, Greg Berlanti's gay, and I see why he would want to have gay characters who are in a positive light. But when you start making that the most preeminent, important, and most dynamic part of whatever it is you're doing, you begin to alienate part of your audience, because they enjoy seeing these characters, but when you start doing it too much, they kind of like, well, now you're doing it in a way that makes me feel alienated from the show. And that's what we're seeing, is that we're seeing this massive drop. Nobody's watching Batwoman anyway. They announced they had greenlit for a second season. There's not going to be a second season of that show. I will be shocked if there's a second season, because their ratings is so bad for Batwoman. Nobody likes it. It's got a 3.3 rating on IMDb. Nobody likes it. And people are like going, well, that's just the trolls. And I'm like going, okay, if that's your answer, then why aren't the people who do like it not countermeasuring those negative reviews? Where are they at? If you are telling me that the trolls are the only ones doing that, then what's wrong with your fans? You don't have any fans. They don't have a fan base. This show is for a non-fan base. And it's a huge mistake by Greg Berlanti, and I wished he had been smarter, because I don't think anybody would have had any problem with him making her gay at all.
Well,
I wouldn't have. I would have enjoyed the show.
Comics, I just wish that the Batwoman television series was as well written and well paced as the Batwoman comic.
Yeah, it's got terrible pacing. It's choppy. It's bad storytelling.
It's like a group of people that have never made television before, and they were suddenly given this. And when you read the Batwoman,
it's sort of like what they did for the second season of Doctor Who. Did you see the writing staff for this? They got one good writer. One. Not anyone on the writing staff has anything to do with science fiction. Not one.
Does that sound like Discovery? I mean, this seems to be something that is happening now with multiple shows on television now where, oh, well, it's more about our politics and policies than it is about good characters and plotting.
And good science fiction. It's like Emergence. Nobody's talking about Emergence. But I enjoy that show. It's good science fiction.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes. Look, let me at least peek backwards a little bit into the whole Star Wars thing.
All right.
What I'm about to say is this. Once Episode 9 comes out, there's going to be a whole hullabaloo and a reckoning with a lot of these films that may not be as successful as they should be. When you look at Terminator, when you look at Star Wars, probably. When you look at Charlie's Angels, when you look at a whole host of films that have come out this year that should have been bigger than what they were, and made the mistake of not really having good stories, good structure, good pacing, good editing. You know, there are things out there, though, that are worthy of fans' time. For me, this is good news for Amazon. The Expanse is coming. And if you've never seen the show, now will be the time for you to watch it. Trust me. You'll come out of the theater with Star Wars. You'll either be happy with what you've seen, or chances are a lot of you won't.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up Amazon because this just came out last week. A little bit of a hubbub about Amazon and how it was on Midnight's Edge.
Yeah.
And basically, Amazon rejected Conan because it wasn't diverse enough, and that's why it went to that
Wheel of Time.
Yeah, and which is why I am now not going to watch that show out of protest because we needed Conan.
Yeah, no, I love Conan. I'm still going to watch Wheel of Time because we need just good stuff, period. I do not like the way that Amazon chose to bring about this, but I can't blame the people behind Wheel of Time.
Well, I'm not blaming them, but I do blame Amazon, who is the one will profit from it. And so therefore, I'm not going to reward bad behavior for me. That's just the way my brain ticks. Is I'm not going to watch the show and be part of their early ratings. I might watch it later because we have Amazon Prime. I mean, I guarantee you, Deanna, my girlfriend, she will be watching it. I will not. So it doesn't matter. I may as well watch it because it's our household. Will still be giving the ratings that they want.
And the other thing, as I was saying, is that as you get into the latter half of December, you're looking right at Christmas Eve, Lost in Space Season 2. Now comes reports this 2 days ago they just dropped Now comes an update in the world of the Umbrella Academy as all the actors become Funko Pops. But that's keeping the information out there that we have a new season of the Umbrella Academy coming to us in 2020.
Now there's a difference between being diverse and being or virtue signaling. That was what we were looking for earlier, virtue signaling, where you're doing things in order to score points rather than do it to be telling a good story. That show tells a good story. It was already diverse in the original text, and that a diversity comes actually just kind of natural. And you don't feel like it's forced. You don't feel like they're virtue signaling and trying to preach from their Hollywood pulpit. Instead, it was just a damn good show. Unlike Batwoman and Supergirl, who both are absolutely virtue signaling. They're trying to score social points, and at the cost of viewership. And and it's funny when I see those guys double down on that shit and lose even more. But then you get something like Umbrella Academy that just comes out very natural, is what it is entertaining, and everybody loves it. I love it. You loved it. And it's just, once again, it's that whole thing about
the ratings,
quality versus quantity.
The ratings for the Umbrella Academy dwarfed all the ratings that for Discovery during that same period when it was out. I mean, it's not even close. And then what's going to happen almost a year from now? The Boys, season 2. Come on. And in between all that, there's all kinds of stuff out there that is waiting. Some of it, many of you out there have not seen. That's just waiting for you to discover and enjoy. And right now, I know I continue to push this. The Expanse, season 4 is worth your time.
Best sci-fi show since Star Trek.
Yeah, look,
not Discovery.
The Expanse is definitely what Enterprise and Discovery should have been. I mean, it's all. If you are looking for a show that does everything that you wanted those two shows to do, The Expanse is your show.
Now, I will tell you,
something good.
I will tell you, in my defense of Enterprise,
Yeah.
I appreciated how they tried to return to the Western style of storytelling in space.
Yeah.
In fact, the first episodes with Archer, he was kind of a cowboy.
Yep.
And I really did like that.
Yeah.
But
it's a good cast. It was
they had a lot of problems. Like the Klingon episode annoyed me. You remember the Klingon episode where they're on that fuel refinery planet? Oh my God! I'm just like the scientific logic of or lack of logic in that episode annoyed me in the writing. But the rest of the show, each season got better till finally that last season really was like ready. We're ready for the next season. It's like, no, I'm gonna pull the plug. It's done. Just when it was really getting good.
In my opinion, that's where the show should have started. You didn't need to have a whole origin story. What you should have done was started right where the show was getting good, was where Enterprise should have started.
I completely agree with you. If we could do away with that first season and just start with that second season, going into, because it was not great in season 2, but it was getting really good. Season 3 is where it really kicked in. But season 2 is where we should have been mid-series and maybe have a flashback of stuff that happened in season 1 and never release season 1. Also, they should have absolutely done a better theme song. Worst Star Trek theme song of all time.
I tried to forget that. I really did try to forget that. But again,
it's like a John Bon Jovi song. I hate it.
For all of its problems, Enterprise is still a much better series than Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's not even a comparison to the difference between the two, because they understood the 3-act structure. They understood character development, character arc, relationship development, relationship arcs, everything. The cool thing, if you set everything, side by side over the series, you could actually draw arcs all over the place. Whereas Discovery doesn't have any arcs. There's no arcs in that show.
But feeling or emotion.
Actually, you know what? I brought up Emergence, and there was a scene in was it Emergence? No, wait, no. What was it I was watching? God bless it. Anyway, there was a show I watched this week, and it was Magnum PI. And I have so many problems with that series now, but I watch it because I like the cast. But this latest episode, once again, they reissued the plot from an earlier episode, the Halloween episode, about the religious sites on Hawaii. And I'm like going, stop doing that. Make that as a minor plot point. Don't make that a major plot point within the series, because you misuse your characters and people begin to feel like you're preaching at them rather than telling them a good story. And you'll lose your audience when you do that. But at the end, we meet this girl for the first time who is a kidnap victim. We meet her for the first time, and they have this big emotional meeting between her parents, and had all this music to it, slow, like something from one of those animals suffering videos. The commercials. Who's that singer? Anyway, the sad song that makes you all want to cry when you see the puppy like suffering. You have that kind of theme song playing over this girl and her parents, and I felt nothing. The reason why is they pulled the typical CBS Discovery thing. We're going to show you what you're supposed to feel, rather than giving us something to actually feel about. Because we had no context of this girl's plight until the end of the episode. We don't know who she is, and you're telling us we need to care about her. I don't care about her. I mean, it's sad, but you gave us nothing to connect with these characters. They just come in at the end of the episode, and all of a sudden it's like you're supposed to feel something. And that annoyed me. And it's like...
Well, it's like a good mystery. It's like a good mystery. When you put all of the clues and everything out in front of the audience, and if the audience is trying to solve the mystery along with the lead character, that's good. Bad is when you solve the case by introducing a brand new plot point or character from out of nowhere, almost in the third act, and you're going, oh, this is how we do it.
Prime example, Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Hateful Eight, huge right, but that's the problem is Quentin Tarantino writes interesting characters, but doesn't know how to write a structured story. And
that's the reason why a lot of you out there should be watching the classic film Murder by Death, because that's exactly what that movie and play is about. It is all about what we just got through saying.
Yeah, and Screenwriting 101 teaches that you are not supposed to introduce a major character after the first act. You cannot do that. It's against the rules. And one of the main reasons why it's a rule is because you don't have any connection to that character. And then it throws your story off when he just suddenly pops up near the end of the story, like the character did in Hateful Eight, where he's in the cellar and just suddenly comes up, and it's like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, well, it's like, let's make chocolate chip cookies. You get all your materials together, you put the batter together, you bring everything together, you put it in the oven, and after the cookies are done, oh, wait a minute, I got to add the chocolate chips, and you add them in after the cookies are done. You can't do that.
That's right.
Chocolate chip cookies.
And the way Josh Becker always taught me was, if you tell a joke out of order, it doesn't work. And it's the same thing with a story.
Mm-hmm.
You have your introduction to the story of the joke, you have your transactional section of the joke that leads to the punchline, and then you have the punchline. That is a 3-act play. That is a movie. That is a TV show.
Star Wars fans, this is what you have to keep in mind going to see Episode 9, because this will come back to haunt you. But Gary and I are trying to help you. Okay, this is fandom, and for right now, it's also therapy.
Now, a great example of the deconstruction of the 3-act story is Memento.
Yeah.
Because as disjointed as that story seems, because it's told backwards, it still follows the rules of the 3-act story, because the end of the film is the beginning, but it's the payoff. It's the climax. And I freaking love that.
Have you seen the version of Memento where they actually re-edit the movie to tell it
and I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I know.
Because they took the end of the movie and put it in the proper order. You get the climax at the beginning, and it's like, no, that's the payoff. Is the fact that he knowingly decides to ignore what he knows and doesn't make it a tattoo to warn himself. I mean, that's sheer brilliance. And you can't put that at the beginning of the film. Yeah, it's like I watched it when they first put that edit out, and I'm like, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. Then I watched it, and I'm like, I didn't like that because it misses the point of what Chris Nolan was doing. Him and his brother Jonathan, and I consider Jonathan a brilliant writer.
Oh, geez, the work he has done, the work both of them have done.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I will say this in criticism: Westworld lost their bearings. You know, it's like season 2 went off the rail, and they really got people amped up, sort of like Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. Season 2 should have been more of Force Awakens Part 2. Instead, it was Last Jedi. And their viewership dropped, and they got their third season, and already there's negative reactions to the trailers. It's like, people are like, this is not what we were wanting from this show. And the writers are like, well, we're the ones creating this, we're the ones writing it. It's like, no, you don't understand. You're writing it for your audience. You're writing it for your audience because you want to keep your audience. You feed them. You nurture them. George Lucas understood that, even though he screwed up with the prequels, he still tried. Because if he just had different writers, I think the prequel series would have been better.
No, yeah. I mean, again, still a better understanding of story and structure.
Because, like, one of the big things that we talked about, I think you and I talked about this a little bit, was that if he had simply made a duality character where you are not... I mean, we secretly know that Anakin is Darth Vader. But if we start seeing this character, masked, nightmarish character, killing Padawans and what are the kids called? I forget. Younglings. You know, and at the same time we see Anakin doing things, and we're like, it's like, wait, is he really this character? They could have added an air of mystery to this, and would have gotten to see a character similar to what Darth Vader is, but not exactly. His mask could have been something that would eventually become Darth Vader's mask. But, you know, it's sort of like evil Zorro. We would have had this, is that Anakin that's doing this? You know, and then that's the mystery that's solved at the end that leads to the final battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, as Obi-Wan figures it out. You're the one doing this for the Emperor, and we get this massive reveal of this scene with with the maiming of Sam Jackson, motherfucker, getting his hands cut off. You know, that's how that should have been revealed. You know, it could have been a mystery, like what happened to his character. Where's where's Palpatine? All this shit, and he could have told a more masterful version of the story and made Darth Vader part of the third film, instead of like right at the end going, no.
Yeah.
But that's his weakness in his character, of not understanding how to really write a script. He's really good at story development. He's just not very good at writing, which is why some of the best work he's done has always been written actually by somebody else. Chris Claremont with Willow. With Star Wars was Alan Dean Foster.
Yeah.
You know, because Star Wars, the first book, which eventually became A New Hope, and then, of course, Splinter in the Mind's Eye, both written by Alan Dean Foster. And, of course, we had Leigh Brackett in there, too, involved with the scripts that led to the novelizations. But anyway, we'll move on to number 4, the final one, which is Star Trek. And the new movie that was announced, with which, of course, would have Chris Pine coming back. But it's going to be overseen by Noah Hawley. And I want your reaction to this, but before you say what you're going to say, I want to just point out my one thought. I believe Noah Hawley is the response of the reunification of CBS Viacom. I believe that the reunification brought about Noah Hawley. I know that J.J. Abrams' company is still involved, but I think that J.J. Abrams' past name will have no involvement in this. Noah Hawley and you and I both like his writing. He's a very good writer, and I think he's a good person to take on Star Trek and to maybe put it back on track. With that said, lay some wisdom on me, brother.
Look, we've had 3 movies. All have had different reactions. I feel personally that there should have been kind of like, and I heard someone else on another series that I watch occasionally on YouTube say this exact same thing, which is, I always felt that when JJ and the writers created the whole alternate universe angle, that it would have been an interesting thing to figure out for this movie is a way to end it all in this universe that had been created. I do not think Noah Hawley is going to go that far, although I would have mad respect if he did, because nobody would be expecting that. Noah Hawley is someone who has done an incredible job in having creating a television series from a film that Fargo that has gotten a lot of praise.
Oh, I love that show, dude.
Very well acted, and the work he did on Legion is just incredible television. Personally, I felt that Fox should have just put him in charge of the X-Men, but I think what we can expect is something incredibly different, but something that is going to be challenging in a good way, proper and fun for the cast, as well as the audience.
And I want to add that he's really good at writing characters. He likes writing character stories, character-driven stories, and that is good for Star Trek.
Right now, because Paramount needs to look again. I cannot officially say that Paramount's out of any financial problem right now, but I will say this: they need to do a Star Trek film that is pretty much just, in a way, kind of like a bottle show. They need to figure out how to make these characters interesting and fun when it is just them, without having to come up with some big guest star who's going to be your big villain. Because you're starting to get into a cycle here with this now. And the thing about film is that you want people to go in and have a good time and not exactly be able to figure out how your ending's going to go. Because now you're getting into this whole thing, well, how are they going to kill this person? So Star Trek as a series was one of those TV shows that not only could deal with guest stars that would come in, but would occasionally have episodes where it was just the crew. And it was one of the best TV shows to do that, where it's just your characters.
Right.
I think Noah Hawley would really be fantastic for doing that kind of movie. I'm not saying that it has to be all, you can have people from outside. I'm just saying that the main part of what you're doing should be like that. It would save on money, but it would also save, I think, this film franchise the way it is structured right now. Because we really haven't had an opportunity to see how these characters deal just themselves on board the ship. We are now in the middle of the 5-year mission. Okay? The last Star Trek movie, they were in the middle, or at least had already been on the 5-year mission for quite a while. So I think instead of trying to recreate something or to do a new spin on something, let's do something that's really different. Let's have one of those plots that involves the crew trying to do something ship-based, trying to figure out something where it's just them and really the harshness of the frontier and space against them.
Right.
That's what I'm wanting to see. That would be different. That'd be fun. But again, I have all kinds of faith in Noah Hawley, more so than I've had in anyone else.
Yeah, because the only thing blemish, in my opinion, was his film Lucy in the Sky, which is I never saw the film because I wasn't interested in seeing it because I didn't like the subject matter.
Neither did I. It was not something that
because when you take a true story about a person who she's crazy. She had mental illness, and we should all feel for her. But her goal was she wore that diaper and went off to kidnap and eventually murder this woman in their love triangle. I'm sorry, that's not a protagonist-driven story. I don't want that person as the protagonist, and that's what he did. He chose to make her the protagonist, and the film tanked. Nobody wanted to watch it because we're not drawn to that. But still, I saw some of the scenes from it. It's well acted and well written. Noah Hawley knows how to write, but I felt that he probably needed somebody to kind of go, you need to redirect that a little bit in your story writing. He had nobody do that because it was independently produced. It was a pet project for him.
And that's
Star Trek won't go that way.
No. Look, the unfortunate thing is you're going to have a lot of people that are going to try to stick their fingers in it. And this is one of those instances where you have to look at someone like a Noah Hawley and go, do I trust this person, first and foremost,
right,
to be good at what they're going to do? Can I look at their past work? And again, I can't think of any member of the cast that would have anything against Noah Hawley at all, considering that he's more of an actor's writer. I think they would all be excited to work on whatever he comes up with. So then it's really about getting everyone else excited, which I think would be easy to do, or easier to do. In the end, figure out what this guy's about. Find out what his story is. Take care of any problems that anyone at Paramount may have. Once you've gotten past all that, go into production and leave him the F alone.
Well, one thing I would advise for him to do, personally, is go watch the 10 best classic original series episodes, including Doomsday. But the ones that are character-driven and show the bond and relationship between Spock, McCoy, and Kirk.
Devil in the Dark would be a good one. Another good one would be even
Amok Time.
Amok Time, yeah.
Not Spock's Brain. Not the Turnabout Intruder.
The Deadly Years.
Oh, yes. And speaking of that one, we just lost Michael J. Pollard.
Yeah.
Who was in that episode.
Yeah.
And I wrote it on my page. I said, the man singularly responsible for giving us Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
And I don't know if anybody got that. It's like, because that's where he got the J from. His real middle name. In fact, I don't even know if Michael Fox has a middle name. He took on the name or initial J from Michael J. Pollard. Mm-hmm. But
look, it'll be nothing but good stuff.
Oh, for the films, I agree. It's like I'm looking forward to seeing what Hawley can do because I trust him as a writer, and I'm hoping with the reunification that we're going to see this move to look back on the original series and try to emulate it a little bit because there are a lot of us fans still alive. And we're the ones that are paying to go see these movies. and it would be nice to see a little bit of fan service done. I think they
Yeah.
tried to do that a little bit with the last Star Trek,
Beyond.
but they had too much. What's his name? The director, Lin.
Justin Lin.
Yeah, it's just too much Fast and Furious crap. The Scotty scene with the cliff, the whole motorcycle thing was just so goofy.
What you need is a director that can actually direct good character stuff. Because really, there is a lot of inherent stuff to Star Trek that makes it, I think, inherently about the adventure. You are on a ship, far away from all your bosses, far away from everyone. You got to make the big decisions. That's why Kirk's the captain. And we really have not had a movie that allowed all of these characters to be who they
Not
are.
since the
first one.
original series films, after from Wrath of Khan all the way to Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, it is not. At this point, it would be great just to have a good character movie. You could have certain things happen.
Oh, Who Mourns Adonis is another classic episode.
Oh yeah.
And also when they met Trelane, I forget the name of that episode.
That's a good one, but that's one of those superpowered ones. I like the stories that like what was the name of the one about the
I know third
Romulan.
season, one of their low budget ones was when they were on that planet and they were doomed to die at the OK Corral.
Yeah, that's a unique one.
It's a low budget episode, but it was really good.
I think Star Trek Continues did a nice continuation of that one. No, what I'm talking about is there's an episode in the first season that is the neutral zone.
Oh, with the Romulans.
Yes.
It was the submarine film.
Yes.
It's two submarines hunting each other. I love that one.
Which they kind of recreated.
Balance
for
of
Star
Terror.
Trek
That was it. I
Wrath of
just remembered.
Yeah. That's a good one. Because that's a character study. That is all a character study.
It was also the first time Mark Leonard was in Star Trek, and he played a Romulan.
Yep.
So he's actually, he's played a Romulan, a Klingon, and a Vulcan, including a Vulcan that was Spock's dad.
That, again, everything that we just told you, good episodes, really good episodes of Star Trek. And they showcased and were able to show the audience how these characters work together, how they solved all the problems together.
It also showed you their bond, how that bond grew, and didn't just tell you, feel this way. It showed you how and why to feel that way. And
for you Discovery fans, it's really classic Star Trek is nothing but a whole bunch of characters that are kind of like Pike. But they all work together, and some of them are actually different races and sexes.
Oh, and I'm going to point out, because I don't know if I said it the last episode, I watched the Pike Spock #1 short treks.
Yeah.
And absolute abuse of the fan base. They're so badly written. They're so woke, virtue signaling like crazy. You've got a girl who's like, oh my God, the captain would take the time out of his day for an ensign in training. No, that would be more for someone that's experienced. And I just thought it was the dumbest writing, just a lack of fundamental understanding of military protocol. Because no matter what you want to say about Starfleet, it is a military organization with science at its heart. But it's still military.
For that particular episode, for that short trek, this is the danger of having people that are more familiar with the way that Star Trek The Next Generation was written and not the original classic Star Trek. Because there is a difference between two shows. You could see an episode like what they had in that short track. There were many episodes of Next Generation that were like that. Now, I'm not saying it was Picard. It was usually Picard telling someone else underneath him, take the time out to get to know this person, to help this person. That's where the thoughts and feelings and everything
Well,
else.
sure. It's like the episode, the elevator, or the ship in a bottle episode, where they're number one and Spock are stuck in an elevator. I could see that between Riker and Data singing that song, but it's a complete misunderstanding of Spock as a character to have him even partake in that. And it's like every classic Star Trek fan just rolled their eyes at that episode. And it just shows again Kurtzman and his crew, their lack of understanding of Star Trek fans. And it's just like, you just don't fucking get us. And I hate using that because that's such a cliche line in movies. You just don't get it, do you? But really, it's true. It's like every time they turn around, it's just they write something that makes no sense to any Star Trek fan. And I hated the shorts. I thought they were terrible. And I loved the idea behind Pike, Spock, and number one. And it's like whatever goodwill that we had because of introducing Pike, Spock, and number one
Season 2
was just kind of lost with those episodes. And it's just like now I've got this animosity towards them over it. It's just like I don't even want to watch your version of Captain Pike anymore.
You know what? A Pike television series completely written and show run by Noah Hawley, that'd be boss.
Or if they brought back Rathacon writer-director, I forgot his name for some reason. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He also did Undiscovered Country. He wrote it.
Yeah.
The two best Star Trek movies. If they brought him back in, because he was initially involved with Discovery, and then just
Well, Midnight's Edge had an interview with him, and it turns out that when they got rid of the original creator of Discovery, he kind of left too. He didn't stick around. So CBS continuing to use his name in a lot of the advertisements and press releases was something that even he had no idea about. So
that's ridiculous.
Again, another example of how CBS tried to basically fool people. You know, it was sad. And again, all you Discovery fans, look, I get it. You don't want to hear anything from anybody that's got anything bad to say. This guy,
don't say that.
You want to hear what he has to say because he's got some insight into Star Trek. And again, for someone that basically was used to get a lot of you to pay attention to the first season of Discovery, you should at least find his interview on Midnight's Edge and listen to what he says in his own words about working with on the original version and ideas behind what Discovery was going to be versus what it eventually became. So anyway, look, one last thing before we go. Big rumor has just been rolled out. It's looking like they're going to try to do something on television with swords for the MCU.
Yeah, I saw that. What do you got to say?
Well, it's just it'll be another opportunity for the MCU to take a shot on television of furthering something that might not be enough material for a movie, but just enough for a television event, where it's going to be Nick Fury and Sword. So it'll look. Just with what little I know, I'm
sort of
excited.
like a buddy cop thing again.
Except that Nick Fury is running an all-new SHIELD type organization. It's called SWORD. And for those of you not familiar,
well, that's from the
SWORD
comics.
Yeah, it's from the comics. So look, it's kind of what you got at the end of Spider-Man: Far From Home. People kept asking, well, what's spoilers? What's Nick Fury doing? What's he doing with all those people? Where are they going? Well, guess what? You're going to find out. Because they're doing-
Yay! I look forward to seeing that. Of course, let's do our shout outs. First to Mikey Sutton, because both of us subscribe to his group. A lot of good information. I had friends this week like some of the news about Henry Cavill possibly returning to the Cape with Shazam, which of course came from Lords of the Long Box, which of course probably came from Mikey Sutton. And Mikey Sutton's like not confirming. He's just simply, he's De Niro. I hear things, and so Mikey Sutton, thanks a lot for being a good scooper. Then, of course, we got John at Entertainment Hacker, who's I talk to a lot, pretty much every day. And then, of course, there's our favorite person, Susan Layton from 1428 Elm. We love her deeply. She was part of our show, and she's part of my life, our life. And then, of course, Gary at Nerdrotic. I always want to say nerd erotic, which is not the same thing. If you go to Nerd Erotic, it's a porn site.
Oh, yeah.
But I
don't think Gary gets anything from that one. So.
And then there's one, and I think you introduced me to Rob Burnett first at the Burnett Network. But I love watching his live shows and stuff. Great guy. Then, of course, we got that lovely little Aussie on SC Reviews. I love watching his videos. I've just recently introduced you to him. And then, of course, we got the folks at Geeks and Gamers. I love watching their stuff. Very diverse group of people. And then, of course, the folks at Midnight Edge. I love Midnight Edge. I really do.
Oh, hell, Midnight Edge.
I love their history lessons. I love their... and I guess we got to throw something out for Doomcock. Now, don't get me wrong. He has viable, important information, but I dislike the theatrics, and he talks over people. And I don't like it when he talks over people. I think that it's important for us to share a dialogue, and he often just wants to dominate the conversation, which is what led to his getting booted by William Shatner. Because Shatner misunderstood him because of the way he does the theatrical stuff that he does. I think that he needs to come out from behind the mask and just be who he is. Gary, be like Gary Beekler. Now, Gary loves, even though he doesn't agree with him all the time, he loves Doomcock. And I watch Doomcock every once in a while, but I can only take so much of it because the character just gets annoying to me after a while. It's like, just be the person. It's one of the reasons why I don't like the guy who took over for Craig Ferguson, or not Craig Ferguson, David Letterman, that came from Comedy Central. I don't watch his talk show because he doesn't come off as a real person. He's just playing the character he played on Comedy Central, which is an exaggerated version of himself, and I don't like that. Just be yourself. Talk about these things. Be a human being, and I kind of wish you would do that because I would probably mention Doomcock more. Because he's got some really great inside information that has been proven right more times than wrong.
Yeah.
And which is why, of course, Gary pays so much attention to him. But that's our shout out to the guys that we watch. Is there anybody? Did I forget anybody?
Not really. Well, you know what? Big shout out to Kevin Smith, all the stuff that he does, and
you know really, when he's going to like something because he cries.
A lot. But you know what? Let me just say a big shout out to you, Gary, because you make this so much fun.
Wait, are you talking about me, Gary?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, thanks, brother. You're the reason I do this show. Because I kind of want to set you up so you can do your thing. If it were seriously, I said this just yesterday. I said if it were up to me, I would just direct and just sit in the background and occasionally say things to make you laugh. Because I giggle when I make you laugh.
I was kind of sort of saying the same thing about you the other day. I mean,
that's why we respect each other so much.
It's very entertaining to watch you, and it's very entertaining, especially when you are extremely motivated.
Well, what I'm looking forward to this year is what really started this show. We're going to be doing again, I hope, this year, where we do some panels at Geekmas. Through another show that you started, Fanatics and the Fan.
Yes.
And
they need to contact us. And
yeah, because Hawk has not. None of them have gotten back if we have a table yet. Yeah. I'm hoping we have a table. We're not going to get a table at VisionCon. They sold out all the artist tables, and all that's left are the tables in the other room, which is for people selling stuff like big items, and they're winning like 3 times the amount of money. And it's like, I laughed and I said, well, we love you guys. We'll support you in spirit. But it looks like we're not going to be having a table at VisionCon this year.
Yeah, officially. But we will drop by and say hi.
Of course.
We know a lot of people, and again, we're not only who we are and what we do, we're fans, which is really the motivating factor for us.
Well, what you and I need to do is basically get in there as media and just go interview people like one afternoon. Do our thing like we did last time. We sat down at the table, and that was fun. That was fun.
Just dominate.
Yeah, and of course we should probably sit down with Hawk, and we're talking about Hawk Holman. He took over Fanatics and the Fan, and he and I do military stuff together every once in a while because we're both veterans, and of course Keith created the show with him, and now Keith and I do this show, and we kind of see their show is kind of a sister show to ours, which is, we're all very friendly with each other.
It's all fun. And
it's all about the nerddom.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One more shout out to the guys at Nerd Informants. Because,
oh, my God. I always forget to talk about those guys. Great guys.
Yeah. So, look, if you're watching this, you need to be also watching this. Love those guys. Lots of good information. Nerd Informants. Love those guys. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's it, man. So anyway, that's Keith.
And that's Gary.
And we're out of here.